Often, the effort we put into our prayer and prayer life betrays just how much faith we have in the effectiveness of our prayer. In today's gospel, the disciples could not drive the demon out from the young man who was possessed. And Jesus reminds them that this kind of demon can only be driven out through prayer. So it's not for show, but it is in faith that we must be disciples. If our prayer consists simply in tacking on a few standard prayers, such as the Lord's Prayer, Hail Mary, Glory be, to that lengthy laundry list of wants and desires, I've often thought, would it be any wonder that perhaps God might simply hear our prayer, listen to the words we're speaking, but might not listen intently to what we're asking for or saying? Now, I know that's not the case, and I know for certain that God does hear and listen to our prayers. But think about that kind of relationship with a friendship. Are we really honoring that sacred time of prayer with God? Like any good, solid friendship, we wouldn't walk in, sit down, and say, well, let me tell you about my life and how things are going, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. We can't dominate the conversation, ignoring the need for that unique dialogue between friends at the very minimum. We cannot turn our prayer time, and let's be honest, sometimes it's just a rattle-it-on list, but really, if it is true prayer time, we cannot turn it into our own personal monologue. That doesn't bode well for us or for the faith that we have in our prayer life. In our prayer life, God desires that unique exchange wherein we listen more than we speak. This is what you're doing. This is what I want you to do. Clear? So that our daily discipleship can be encouraged, challenged, or strengthened as necessary. And we only find that when we listen to what God has to say to us. And I grant you that is hard, that is difficult, because silence, even in telecommunications, silence says, oh my gosh, something's wrong. You know, go to the little whatever screen we're putting up, Nick. I have no idea what they put up. It used to be the railroad tracks or whatever it is. Stand by, we're having technical difficulties. In the life of prayer, consider it sitting down with your best friend. And your best friend knows. That's why you go to your best friend, for that unique wisdom and advice. You're not going to ramble on. You want to hear what your best friend has to say. So make this unique time of prayer a time that you will spend with the Lord, truly learning from him. The disciples question, how come we couldn't do what you do? We've been with you 24/7 for a number of days now. How come we couldn't do the same thing? Well, perhaps they hadn't listened enough or understood the power and the importance of prayer. Jesus, every day, spent time with the Father in prayer, that unique time, listening, understanding the will of the Father, and carrying it out. You and I are called to do the same.